Welcome to Work the Left Side. We are joined this episode by the awesomeness that is Mr. Joey Cements. Dude, thank you for coming on. Thank you for chatting. Thank you for letting me pop your podcast cherry, so to speak.
I know, it's the debut today. I'm very excited. I've been wanting to do this for a long while, so I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh, mate, it's not an issue. I mean, obviously, when you put that treat out there, just sort of testing the waters, talking about podcasting and stuff, it caught my eye straight away because you stated you're turning 18 soon, and you've literally spent half your life in a ring. You started training when you was like 9.
Yeah. So I'm 18 in May the 6th, and then I started training when I was 9 years old in November. So November time will be literally half of my life spent dedicated to wrestling, which is crazy.
Dude, obviously, like I say, I've managed to look into a little bit of stuff, looking through your matches on YouTube, just obviously put in Joey Cement YouTube, go watch this shed load of matches. But yeah, LJ Heron, obviously, I made reference on socials the other day about just how lucky you are to have tagged with Sash. There's the House of Pain connections kicking around all over the place. So is that where you call home?
Yeah, 100%. So House of Pain is kind of where I've stayed from the age of 9. I've been kind of very lucky to have kind of House of Pain so close to home. It's only about 15 minutes away from me. And like, I know that Zizi, when she was on the podcast, mentioned that it was quite the distance to travel. And especially now, the school is literally 5 minutes away from my house, which is super convenient. We have like 2 rings, we have a gym, like a toilet, a little changing room area. Honestly, the facilities are fantastic. And what's crazy is when I started, it was not that at all. It was like a little wooden shed for a toilet. It was a garage where literally the roof was leaking like car oil and stuff because it used to be like a proper car garage. I remember a show where like everyone got ill afterwards because of everything dripping from the ceiling and getting on the canvas as people were taking like falls and bumps and stuff. Everyone just caught this illness. But I've kind of been very lucky with House of Pain to see it evolve throughout the past 8 years and see where it is now.
It's leveling up all the time, kind of thing.
Absolutely. And I definitely think with other schools kind of coming near now, like you've got New Wave West Midlands, you've got Elevation that's also close by. Kind of House of Pain is in very friendly competition with them in terms of elevating them. But the one thing that I've always loved about kind of Stixx, I'll start praising him straight away, is the fact that he's always encouraged people to train under others. And recently I've kind of been going to New Wave, learning a few things from Flash Morgan Webster, but still kind of taking my lessons that I've learned with House of Pain with me as well.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, numerous people I speak to, there's definitely that open mindset of, it's not a besmirchment. You're not sort of showing disrespect to your school if you go somewhere else. You just kind of see what other stuff other people do and sort of taking a bit of this, a bit of that, and then taking it home with you. And then it's kind of like, everybody levels up and elevates each other.
Absolutely. I've kind of been really grateful recently that Stixx gave me the opportunity to start kind of teaching classes at HOP. So for the past couple of years, I've been teaching like a kids class. Just me and my friend Davey Thompson, who criminally underrated, but we'll get to that later. But kind of with the kids class, kind of is so weird with wrestling because you learn so much, but teaching it is a whole different mindset. And actually kind of teaching helps you remember stuff that maybe you kind of forgot when you were kind of growing as a wrestler yourself. And then recently I've kind of been teaching the more intermediate classes, which is crazy because you're teaching kids and now you're going to teaching people older than you, especially with my age. Like there's a full class of people way older, and it's crazy to kind of think that with the wrestling experience that that I've been kind of training that long, and some people that are older than me have only been in it a few years. But especially with kind of New Wave and stuff and going to other schools, I've kind of took lessons that I've learned there and I've tried to add them to my classes that I teach at HOP a little bit, to then help people kind of learn different stuff from different areas, especially if like they can't travel, maybe they can't drive, transportation, stuff like that I've been incredibly lucky.
Well, that's awesome, because that just goes to show like you're open to doing this or doing that. And it's, in a sense as well, though, obviously, it must be good for the kids, because it kind of takes the intimidation factor out of it. I can imagine coming into training, seeing your like lovely, enjoyable, bright, sort of giddy face, and the kids be like, "Oh, awesome! Yeah, we get to train with Joey today," as opposed to sort of scary Stixx coming in, and the kids be like, "Ah," running away.
I think that may be why kind of Stixx gave me that opportunity, because Davey's kind of not a very intimidating person as well. But I think it's just crazy that wrestling schools are having this now, like House of Pain Pursuit. Like when I started, I literally walked into an open day. Like I said, it was that garage, that dingy looking garage. And there was just a load of adults. And I remember my dad saying like, "Oh, I found a wrestling school for you to go to." And I was like, "Oh, I'm so excited." And then when I walked in, I kind of expected it to be a kids class. And when it wasn't, I was like, "What the hell is this?" But yeah, like I'm just so grateful for that opportunity that kids nowadays have got a safe space to train. And I think that's the thing as well, kind of the safety of children working with children, with kind of adults and people that know what they're doing, kind of supervising them, which is very important and something that kind of House of Pain has done very well.
Definitely, dude. And yeah, like so, it speaks volumes. That kids are coming in. You're attracting all ages now, kind of thing. But yeah, because dude, I mean, you 9-year-old walking in. I'm gonna hazard a guess. Probably the other youngest person there might have been like 17, 18, something like that. So there would have been a massive age gap.
Yeah.
And you were just like, "Oh crap!" To actually overcome that itself is impressive, dude. Because most kids, right, let's go do 15 karate at town hall or something. In the kids' class. I'm not being thrown around by a bunch of adults.
I think that's the other thing with my open day. I don't know whether any of the viewers kind of remember What Culture Pro Wrestling, but there was Lucas Archer from Prospect back in the day, and he was one of the first people that I locked up with, and it's kind of because of him. And then Stixx, just being the giant that he is, but I'm sure plenty of people have said on the podcast that I've heard that he's just the nicest man in the world. And then literally I remember the open day was on a Saturday, kind of midday, and the Sunday, literally the day after, I was back. And that was my first beginner's lesson after that, after the kind of open day. I was like, wrestling is where my heart is in. And ever since, every single week, I've been at the school at least once.
Dude. And that's the thing as well. That's because, obviously, one of the generic questions that I ask is, how did you get into it? What made you want to be a wrestler? Blah, blah, blah. Obviously, the normal answer is, I loved it as a kid. I watched it until I was about 13, 14. And then everybody tends to drop off for a few years and then comes back into it. Obviously, during those years, you've still been training. You'll have been like a 5-6 year, experience under your belt at that point.
Yeah. I mean, I remember starting getting into wrestling because I was at my primary school, and in British primary schools, in case there's any kind of international viewers, you kind of have a few like swimming lessons per week. I don't know why they do it, but the bus will drive you to the local like leisure centre, and you'll do some swimming lessons. But I remember being in a queue, kind of waiting to go in the pool, and my mates kind of saying, "Oh, John Cena or The Rock or The Undertaker," and I was kind of like, "Who are these lot?" And then from there, I literally started watching wrestling. I guess this makes people feel quite old, but my first Mania was WrestleMania 31, which is the Seth Rollins cash-in. Yeah, which doesn't feel like long ago for a lot of people. Kind of feels like only a few years ago, but for me, that was my first ever Mania.
Good Mania as well, though, to get the attention.
Phenomenal.
At that moment, obviously, you had the Rollins. I totally forgot his name. Rollins Orton match with the RKO stomp.
Yeah.
That was Triple H Sting as well, wasn't it, that one?
Yeah. So that was kind of at the start, my kind of first impressions of Sting was that match, which I know a lot of people said wasn't the greatest of matches, but yeah, like that was my first impression of Sting. But I still enjoyed him. I thought because he had a really cool entrance that Mania, I remember, like with all the drums and stuff.
Yeah, it was definitely like a Mania moment. At least it did Sting right in that sense, in that moment. But yeah, dude, wow. That is, to me, that's like 4 or 5 Manias ago. Obviously, I know it's a bit more, But given the fact that I've watched like 30 manias, yeah, it's blink of the eye kind of memory for that mania. So but yes, you go from that, then you train in sort of the intermediate classes. So obviously you're stepping up. But I can, again though, if anybody is second guessing like the age thing, all they've got to do is stop and be like we've said, you're close to 9 years of experience. If you don't think about a person's physical age, you think about their ring age. Obviously, yeah, you might be ahead of anybody else there. That's not of the new. You're way ahead of the newbies.
Yeah, and like I remember kind of moving up because I was still very young. I was only 10 years old when I moved up to Winters, so I think that was kind of a shocking one for me. And I guess what I will say once again, kind of crediting Stixx, is throughout the kind of me growing up, he's been very careful with what I've done. So although I've kind of been wrestling for 9 years, kind of the 2018, well, it was the end of 2017 to kind of 2021, I was mainly like a comedy wrestler. So it wouldn't really be like matches. Like there'd be like a tag match or a 6-man tag, but I'd almost be like the little comedy spot in the middle rather than, taking high risk kind of bumps. And also kind of when I was 10 years old and I moved up to intermediate, Stixx was like, okay, you're ready for shows, but you're not ready to be a wrestler because of your age. So what can we do? And there was a guy called Johnny Concrete, which a lot of people don't actually know where I got my name from. But kind of the Austin Powers, like mini me, I was essentially that. Yeah, I was Joey Cement, like the little sidekick. So I'd be like his little valet. His whole gimmick was kind of, I know that Ivy and Lana Austin have done this recently, actually. They were kind of the Baywatch gimmick. So he did like beer watch. So he'd have like cans of beer. He'd like pick an audience member. They'd do like a drinking contest. He could down beers in like 3 seconds. He was crazy, but he was like an older brother to me, like all throughout my starting years. Like he helped me so much kind of find my character. And I think that's something that a lot of people say is a strength of mine, is definitely my character work. And I do think, even though I was a kid, I feel like maybe some other places should do it with people when they first move up to intermediates, maybe make them a manager and then slowly introduce them to wrestling. I know a lot of companies do the same with referees, and there's a bit of that argument of put a trainee in a referee shirt, but kind of, just a little job, even if it's music or timekeeping or ringing the bell, just for the first couple of kind of shows or months, kind of have a little job and then slowly introduce you to the wrestling. I think that definitely benefited me huge.
Oh, it gets you used to the crowd. It gets you used to it probably doesn't get rid of the butterflies, because I don't doubt you'll ever get rid of the butterflies, because that makes it more exciting. That's part of the thrill. But it calms the butterflies, shall we say?
Absolutely.
Gets you used to the crowd, gets you used to the reactions, get you used to the noise. And once that becomes second nature, then yeah, it allows you to concentrate on what you want to do, and you can focus in on the good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And like once again, the kind of people that I was working with, it was Davey that I kind of worked a lot with. I know I mentioned him earlier, kind of saying that we teach the kids class together, but he was kind of Stixx's kind of golden boy. And he still is, in a sense. He's kind of at the school. He's like the right hand man. When Stixx isn't there, it'll always be Davey at the school watching over. But he was kind of assigned the job of kind of growing, like having constant matches with me and helping me grow. And then now, like, we've got a match next Saturday, and he's the person that I've wrestled more than anyone. But it's also quite nice because we tend to have like one match a year. So kind of throughout my 8-year career so far, we've kind of had that match every year to kind of see how much we've both grown as wrestlers, which, yeah, is lovely.
That's cool though, because you can go back. Yeah, obviously it's like, anybody does anything. I was talking to like Simon from I Will Burn Art the other day, and he's all about looking back at photos that he's done 5 years ago to looking at photos that he did last week, and you can see the difference. And he's like, why did I even think that looked good, kind of thing. And obviously, if you're having matches with Davey every year, like around about the same time, yeah, it's an awesome way of kind of like charting your growth.
Yeah, definitely. And also kind of going from that comedy wrestler to the wrestler that I am today. Like I used to like step on his toes. I used to crawl through his legs. Like, if anyone knows kind of Little Legs, he's quite like a Brit wrestling legend. He used to do like the Butlin shows and the All-Star shows. Like, I was essentially kind of the House of Pain Little Legs a little bit.
Dude, that's not a compliment. You know, like you said, that is a good thing to be kind of. Every show's got a place, and you know it fits in. And at that time, yeah, obviously that suited you really well. Like you said, now you get to that age now where you're like, yes, right, okay, you can start having, you know, more intense matches. You can start doing the, you know, the more impactful bumps. Obviously your body's growing now. You're not going to do. It's going to do less damage. I mean, obviously, sidebarring. You know, we sponsor True Grit. We've got. I would like to think of some of our fan base is through True Grit and stuff. So, and any True Grit fan will tell you, you know, you stepped up. You at that time you pushed probably Sean only the hardest that had been pushed in his open challenge. So, how did you find that?
It was, for me, wrestling's so much about taking opportunities. You hear kind of a load of wrestlers say that most of the companies they work for is someone getting injured and then being a last minute replacement or something. So when I kind of got the opportunity to be the one to challenge Sean Only rather than Sean Only doing another open challenge, of course I was going to take that. Like I said, my gob is the thing that I'm quite good at in wrestling. So as soon as I heard that I had the opportunity to do that, straight away went to a location with my dad holding the camera, filmed the promo, and then straight away challenged him. And then he said a response, which, to be fair, for Sean Only, he's not really complimented anyone. And he did say that I did a pretty good promo and then slandered me at the end. But when it came to the match, I knew that True Grit, like you said, it's just started rising so much. Like, it's getting so good now. A lot of people are saying it's the top place to work. And I definitely agree with that. Like, I've done one show there, but I'm so eager to get back on. And like, even today, like I wore the True Grit t-shirt. Like, I knew that we'd discuss it. But kind of, I didn't realize afterwards, but apparently I was the first one to kick out of the curb stomp.
Yeah.
Which I didn't even know until afterwards. I think that was just a natural instinct thing.
You know, obviously, you know, kudos to, you know, Pete or Sean knows how to tell a good story. You know how to tell a good. Both of you guys working together. You know, as you sort of say, even though you took the loss, that was your moment. That was your kind of. You could say, yeah, you kicked out the curb stomp. That's a minor victory, you know, overall kind of thing. That adds credibility to you going forward. You know, if you ever do come back, that's your next promo kind of thing. Being like, you know, it took two to put me away.
Yeah,
you know, so.
I think that's the thing as well. I remember originally I think I was meant to fall victim to Sean a little bit quicker, but that kind of promo that I filmed ended up actually allowing me to shine a little bit more, which was super nice of JC, the owner. You know, I'm sure you've got a lot of time for JC, like a lot of people do. I mean, I saw the other week, actually, some YouTube channel, I think it might be associated with the company that isn't to be named. It's like the Voldemort of pro wrestling, but kind of uploaded a load of JC's old matches recently, and I've been giving them a watch, and yeah, his character work was phenomenal back in the day.
Boris was the man. There's some Boris matches on North as well, if you want to watch a good.
Oh yeah, North is another good one, isn't it, at the moment?
But yeah, JC's awesome. Obviously, we do the 97 year in review, where we both of us watch pay-per-views and talk about them kind of things. So, and done one for a while. Actually, need to do one, thinking about it. But yes, obviously, True Grit was there. That was it, though. That was, you know, you went into that match with so much momentum because of the promos. That was the first time, really, that somebody had time to shine. You know, you got yourself over like that.
Yeah.
On social media as well.
Yeah, that kind of, it's the whole thing at the moment is of kind of social media being the most beneficial tool to kind of growing yourself as a wrestler. And a part of me, when I was filming that promo, I'm usually quite good at like filming it in one take, but I was constantly like restarting it because I knew that if I got that promo right, word for word, that'd be the most important thing to me. And it ended up being true. That was kind of the most important thing, and it got a lot of eyes on me. And it was just awesome seeing the kind of feedback on social media about it, seeing so many lovely compliments and so many people that I hadn't even met in wrestling yet, kind of in the True Grit backstage that I was looking forward to meeting, reposting it, resharing it, creating some buzz around it like that. Oh, it was awesome. It was such a good feeling. And especially going into that match, I was already dead excited. Like I said, like True Grit has been the biggest opportunity for me so far. And then seeing all that hype kind of created behind the match as well, like I knew that day was going to be so special.
Did you get any feedback off of it from like Stixx? You know, did he kind of like, you know, be like, good job, you know, getting yourself out there, putting yourself over? Because that's the thing as well. So again, you know, when I talk to people, it's all, you know, in-ring stuff, character stuff. There isn't, I don't know if this is going to change down the line just because of how important it is. I think people are starting to realize how important it is. But social media, you know, how to conduct yourself on social media, how to cut a promo on social media, how to get yourself booked, you know, via social media kind of thing. So Stixx must have been proud of that as well.
Absolutely. I think Stixx is always, whenever something big happens in wrestling, Stixx is the first person you message. Like, absolutely. Like, as soon as I got asked for that, I believe I got asked for that whilst me and Stixx were on the road together. So I could literally show him the message, like, dead excited, like, look at this, Stixx. And then after the match as well, kind of, he always messages people after a weekend. He messages every single one of his trainees, like, how does it go? How did it go? And that's the thing, like, he's on the road a lot as well himself, like MegaSlam, one of the biggest touring companies in the UK, kind of runs shows every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but he still takes the time to message everyone how it went, and he'll always respond. And yeah, I remember just being so excited, and then seeing the little proud of your buddy message, just that was just the cherry on top. That was
on the back.
Exactly. And it's always a big thing with Stixx as well. He's a big fist bump guy. If you ever meet him, he's such a big, like, he'll fist bump everyone. And for me, it's a little joke with my family where if you get a hug from Stixx, that's like a special moment. Like a hug from Stixx is like a Paul Hollywood handshake. It's the Paul Hollywood handshake of pro wrestling. That's what it is. And most of the time it's when he's drunk at the House of Pain Christmas parties. But when he hugs you, you know, normally that's huge. That's the WrestleMania moment. I don't need a WrestleMania. I just need a hug from Stixx.
That's amazing. I was going to use the Paul Hollywood thing as, yeah, that sounds like, yeah, you get the handshake, you get the hug. Jobs are good, and you just take it from there. Obviously we mentioned Sash at the start. You tagged for Sash. Again, True Grit fans know Sash. Lots of people know Sash. The dude is, hopefully, we'll keep it on the quiet. You know, hopefully he's too busy counting his money to watch this. But I'm going to pay the guy a compliment. You know, I think, pun intended, Sash is money. I'm not going to say Sash is cash because that's trademarked probably. But Sash is money. You know, he knows how to work a crowd. He knows how to get under people's skin. He's just the living embodiment of the character. So that must have been, obviously you trained with, you know, you've known him for years. So, you know, yeah.
I'd love to say that he's different. I'd love to say that he is a lovely person in real life. He's just not. He is, like, I will credit Sash. He is a phenomenal wrestler. He's a phenomenal promo. He knows how to get the fans annoyed. He knows how to get money. But Sash will throw you under the bus for anything. And that's the thing. We've got a huge match at Future Wrestling, which is in Sutton in Ashfield. Kind of him and someone that I consider a very close friend, Alton Thorne. They've had a big rivalry coming up. I've ended up joining Alton Thorne's faction, Hellbound, and kind of Sash, Money Mountain. It's just forever grown. And he's now got Gallas. He's got Brad Matthews, who was on True Grit in Money Mountain. He's also got Franco Fate, who's kind of making the rounds in the UK wrestling scene at the moment. And yeah, we've got Harley Harris, who's a phenomenal women's wrestler. We've got Alton Thorne, we've got me, and we've got a fourth member for that match that we're not going to reveal just yet. But that's the little teaser. But yeah, Sash knows how to make money, but he does get under people's skin. I will admit that. I
think that's all you can really say is like, he does what he needs to do. Sometimes it's questionable. You won't trust him as far as you could throw him.
No.
But if you want to pay for somebody to rile up an audience, there's very few better at the minute than Sash.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I mean, tagging with him as well. So we tagged, we've tagged a few places. We've tagged at House of Pain. We've tagged at a company called Win Wrestling, which I am one half of the tag team championships. I beat Sash for that. So, you know, I've got a win victory over Sash. You can cry about that. But yeah, I tagged with him. He's ended up turning on me. You know, he's put me through a lot. He's put me in some tough situations, and me and Ivy, who is at Win Wrestling, is my mum. That's the kind of story that we go for. We've had to kind of fight from the bottom. You know, we lost to Money Mountain at the start. We had to fight our way back to the top, and then after winning a gauntlet where we went from 0 to hero, we finally beat Money Mountain for the tag team championships.
Wow, and that's the soundbite right there. I like to do little highlights or little clips, you know, 1 minute clips from episodes, and just you saying that you beat Sash and you can go cry about it. That's the soundbite.
He absolutely can. He absolutely can. He was trash that day, as everyone says. Sash is trash. He was trash that day. He was not on his A game, and he tapped out as well. He tapped out. It wasn't even a pinfall victory, brother. Tapped on the mat. There you go. That's one for everyone to hear. Sash can be submit in a wrestling ring. He can. I've seen it with my own eyes.
Right. Well, yeah. Right. Forget the previous soundbite. That's the soundbite. Sash tapped out. You know, that's obviously, yeah, the Sash is trash kind of thing. You know, gets chanted at True Grit a lot, and he makes reference to that being created in Nottingham. So I'm guessing that's a Hope fans creation. You know, they like to inform Sash that he is trash.
Yeah, I don't actually know when it started, because I know that Sash was kind of one of them ones that started way back when like Hop was first getting started, and he's kind of came back. I think it was post-COVID, or I actually think he made his debut. There was like lockdown tapings that we did when like the restrictions got lifted. I think that's when him and Gallas, his tag team partner, kind of first kind of came about again. But yeah, I'm not sure who actually started it. I don't know.
You wrestling fan, really? Any wrestling fan that's seen Sash, I presume, you know, it's anyone can lay claim to it, I suppose.
I think wrestling fans are genius sometimes. You know, some of their chants, I just love it. Like I know that True Grit kind of, they took the mick out of Cement a lot. You know, he builds where he likes. I like all the song ones, like the football chant ones.
Yes. Oh, yeah. When you get them going, like, especially though, it kind of makes you feel like they've taken time to think of that, and you know that's because of you. So it's kind of like, you know what, I must be doing something right. You know, I'm making about something. Yeah, chant it away.
I will admit as well, kind of going back to kind of my origins of wrestling. I know that I said that kind of WrestleMania 31 was kind of my first Mania, but it was actually kind of Southside wrestling that got me into being a wrestling fan. I think that's also something that I've been very different with compared to a lot of people that were kind of into WWE, or, you know, I was into TNA for a brief period, but that was kind of, once again, showing how young I am here. It was the broken Matt Hardy kind of period of time, which, yeah, but Southside wrestling was always the one. So like, for me, True Grit has every potential to be the next Southside wrestling. Like with the talent, you know, they're getting big names in, like Saxon Huxley versus Brady Phillips. I was there live for that. That was phenomenal match. And yeah,
that was well. Saxon, you know, the first ever True Grit, was a former True Grit champion. But Southside, mate, just to mention that promotion just warms my heart.
I miss it so much.
Definitely, same goes. You know, obviously I live in Leeds, but I still class myself as a Nottingham boy. Always made sure I got back down to Nottingham to go watch Southside. You know, eating tournaments. Some matches, Finn Balor, Prince Devitt versus Mark Haskins.
Yeah.
Side. Just Jay Lethal, you know, just.
They were so good at that, kind of bringing in the stars, but also having the best of Brit Rest in there, like seeing people like Will Ospreay. You know, I think it was Will Ospreay versus Martin Kirby at my first ever Southside, and Will Ospreay was wearing like a gum shield. He had like terrible tights on, and seeing like the megastar that he is now, and that's like Flash Morgan Webster once again, kind of seeing where he was then compared to now. That's why kind of training under people like Flash and Stixx means more to me than I think a lot of other people, because they were the people, they were my John Cena and my Undertaker, because that was the style of, that was the wrestling that I watched. But I'll tell you a funny story about Stixx, actually. I'll quickly. So it was my first Southside show. And we've always said, if me and Stixx had a match on a show that had like hype packages, like a North Wrestling or whatever, my first ever show, it was him versus Joe Connors, and he was like fist bumping everyone, fist bump, fist bump, fist bump. He got to me, he looked at me in the eyes and then just lifted his arm, completely ignored my fist bump. So my first impressions of Stixx, I hated him. I cheered for Joe Connors the whole match. And then training with Stixx, I finally got that fist bump. I get a fist bump every session now, so.
But like you said, man, just working the audience, obviously, sees you in the crowd, like easy heel pop. You don't get a fist bump or go somewhere else. And just
he was a face, in fairness. That's what makes it worse. He was like the super over baby face against, the champion heel Joseph Connors, and he just missed me out.
Dude, I think you can't be too vanilla, even when you're a face. You kind of still got to have that edge. That was his edge. It's like, no, I'm going to deny this kid a fist bump. That makes his edge.
He used to come out with the chains and all sorts. I used to love them chains. He doesn't wear them anymore. He needs to. Stixx needs to bring back the chains. I've told him.
I agree. I think Kemper's might be trademarking them now, though, because kind of Kemper comes out with.
Yeah, I've got a point. Kemper is a monster.
Right. Yeah. And anybody who watches this show knows of my love for that guy. I think he's just, he's the next big thing in British wrestling, as far as I'm concerned. He can just give him the ball and he'll run. But yeah, Southside, RJ Singh versus like John Morrison. I remember seeing there, against like Travis, and dude, it's just.
And I think that's the thing that I've kind of learned being in Brit Rest is I've had to kind of like calm myself down, because people go to like WWE live shows and they're like, oh my god, it's this person or this person. Whereas for me, like over last year, kind of working with MegaSlam in the past, I've became friends with people like Robbie X, who was like crown champion of everything at Southside, and all these people like Joseph Connors. He's gave me some opportunities. I've been on Elevation in the past, and seeing all these people that I used to idolize so much now be my mates, and I message Robbie X daily, just sending him random memes and stuff. It's like never in my life would I think I'd get to that stage of wrestling. And it's so weird because a lot of people, like Rob is a phenomenal wrestler, but a lot of people wouldn't be like so starstruck by him. But I remember like him first getting in the car with us for this road trip, and I was like, oh my god, it's Robbie X, and God did it show. I was proper like, yeah, starstruck the whole time, because he was sat next to me as well, and I was just picking his brains for like 2 hours. It was phenomenal.
Nice. That's good though, man, because that shows as well, like sort of said, you say to anybody, I mean, that's an old school thing right there, picking up knowledge on the road, taking road trips, sitting there with the veterans. Thing is though, Robbie could probably look at you and be like, because Robbie, like everybody forgets how young Robbie is, because he's been around for so freaking long as well.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a baby. It just seems like, he seems to have been around since the crack of dawn, but you're like, nah, the dude's still a bit of a whippersnapper. So he's probably looking at you being like, yeah, this is the next guy that's going to take the baby spot kind of thing.
Oh, I hope he does see me that way. Once again, I've still got that starstruck about me, but I'm kind of very blessed to kind of have a lot of friends that, like you said, I can kind of pick the brains off. I've kind of shared the backstage with Martin Kirby at that Win Wrestling show that I mentioned. Like you said, RJ Singh also wrestles there. So being backstage with people like him, and I think it's that being backstage with some of these names, like you can learn so much, because they were the top of Brit Rest for so long, and now their kind of job is to help elevate other people. And I'm even mates with some people, like there's a Davey's got a tag partner called Brandon Brooks, who I think is phenomenal. Kind of, he's only 22 himself, and like he's just phenomenal. He's kind of like king of the Midlands in terms of of that, but he's also one of the funniest guys on earth. So I definitely think kind of having experienced people and having people as hungry as you in terms of the drive and the motivation just helps me so much, because people like Brandon I can train with, people like Martin Kirby, Stixx, Robbie X I can learn from, and then I can put that into the ring. And I do take a lot of inspiration off all their names.
Dude, oh, definitely. And that's the thing as well. I mean, you're talking about, obviously, Stixx and RJ are like best buds anyway. So you get those, get them talking, mate. You could just sit there and be like, soak it in. There we go. Telling this story, telling that. Get Stixx to tell you, I think RJ told me about it. It was just like this really crappy fair. I think they do it like most years.
The 2002 ROH match that they call it. It's like an outdoor festival where they put like a Ring of Honor classic on.
It was like benches, like these plastic benches or something. And it was just,
they were doing moonsaults and all sorts. That's the message that Stixx always like teaches now. It's always that match, and it's, you don't need to kill yourself every match, because that match they did not need to go as intense as they did. Like
10 people or something as well. It's just like, mate, know when to do it, know when not to do it. You know, fly high but stay grounded if you have to. It's just ridiculous.
Absolutely.
But yeah, you mentioned Kirby there as well, dude. Yeah. Oh, you mentioned, you've done some stuff. What you've done at MegaSlam then? Have you just kind of been helping out? You had the odd matches here or there?
Yeah, so at MegaSlam, I was speaking earlier about the kind of trainee in a ref shirt. I was kind of reffing for a summer. That was kind of 2022, where I was just kind of being a ref. And, luckily at MegaSlam, I think unlike kind of other shows where like you need a proper ref in terms of, first aid and all of that important stuff, kind of MegaSlam being one of them kind of easier shows, kind of more to entertain families and kids that may have never seen wrestling before, or maybe this is their first time, like the holiday camps as they always call it. And then kind of 2023, I kind of went from, we did like a little kind of story where like the bad guys, Team Nasty, would kind of pay me money as the ref, and I'd kind of be an unbiased ref, and then from there I kind of turned into a wrestler from there. And one of my favorite matches was me and a guy called Spike, who we used to team at House of Pain a lot. We were called the Firm, but at MegaSlam we were called the Murphys. We were kind of given these kind of Irish traveller gimmicks, which I'll admit, kind of at the start of that character, I was so worried that I was going to get cancelled, like, because like when you get given a gimmick like that, you have to be so careful, especially now. And yeah, luckily we kind of did everything that we did at House of Pain, but just kind of became more brawlers. And in fairness, that character, as much as I kind of say I was worried about it at the start, that character allowed me to find the wrestling style that I do now, that kind of very Butch from WWE, Pete Dunne kind of inspired wrestling. And then it was that match. So it was me and Spike versus Stixx and Robbie X, which is just getting to wrestle them two. It was in front of like a crowd of like 1,000, I think it was. Like you had smoke, you had like pyro. It felt like a massive match. And I think that's the thing, like these family shows sometimes get slandered a little bit because it's seen as the kind of easier wrestling and not as intense, but some of the crowds that you get and the production as well is just phenomenal. And I'm very lucky to have that match recorded. I got it on a memory stick, so I've got that match forever now. But yeah, that one was kind of a learning curve.
Anybody who slanders that kind of scene, that kind of promotion, does not know what they are talking about. I will go on record to say that. If anybody wants to come at me, fine. But when you've got people like Nathan Cruz, you've got people like Stixx, you've got the cream of the crop, British talent, bigging up the holiday camp scenes, saying it's a rite of passage, it's like a tour of duty. It's where you learn to do like the fundamentals. You learn to do stuff by repetition. You get to hone what works, what doesn't work, because you're working to an audience who's there to be entertained. They're not there because they love wrestling. They're there to be entertained. You can develop characters. You can, like I say, you can just try this, that, and the other. When Bryan Danielson comes out and says, if the dude had offered him a bit more, he'd still be working the holiday scenes because he just loved the atmosphere so much. So You know, anybody who besmirches that scene needs to go talk to them people.
Absolutely. And like even people like MJF now, like doing some of these kind of ideas that you see on so many of these family shows in front of 80,000 people at Wembley Stadium. Like it just shows that that style of wrestling can be used. And you know, people like Stixx can go from working a family show, making them laugh, to, I know him versus RJ, they had another match, they had the career versus career at Progress, where they made the whole room cry, like these die-hard wrestling fans in tears because two best friends are fighting for their careers and they've realised that this rivalry has gone way too far, type of thing. But that family show wrestling has helped me so much, once again, with character, with finding who I am in the ring, that when I wrestle shows with a more adult audience or teenagers or kind of less families, I kind of feel well equipped and know that I can have safety.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, you've got that after 9 years, dude. You've got that confidence, you've got that faith in your abilities in the ring. You can, if you're in front of smart fans who just want to sit there and watch just a good wrestling match, you're technically sound, you know, way advanced, and you know you can do that kind of thing. And then the actual could be like, that was, God damn, that Joey Cement's freaking, you know, he didn't brick it. He actually did a good job. You know, put on a show. I am curious about this Irish cruise. Have you ever watched Snatch?
That was the kind of inspiration of that a little bit. We had to,
So imagine you walking around and be like, I want a caravan. You like Dags? Periwinkle blue.
That was kind of one of the ideas that we had once. That was, we had to tone it down, but we were in a holiday park and they wanted to like film like a little promo that they were going to play on like the big screen before our match. But because we're in a holiday park like full of caravans, there was kind of the idea that if we could get the keys to one of them, that we'd film it in one of them. But once again, like at that time, I was so worried about like people complaining, because, you know, even though I have had a few years in wrestling, I'd quite like to double or triple that if I could, without, you know, upsetting anyone. Or I've had a good track record in terms of being known as being quite nice outside the ring. So I'd like to continue that.
Yeah, you don't want to get vetoed for offending, you know, the travelling kind of thing. Yeah. So yeah, you mentioned Win, you know, tag titles. We've got stuff going on there. Obviously, Hop, you mentioned True Grit. I've got to ask, man, like, because obviously you said you spent your early years, you know, at Hop. I always like to get people's takes on the first booking outside of the house. You know,
I tell you what, I'll pull out this. It's literally right behind me. I've got it framed. My first ever wage in pro wrestling for that reason, because, you know, the first booking is the most important, right? Because it's that moment where you go, holy crap, I'm making money off this, and from there,
and somebody with a spot on their show. Obviously, it's one thing for your, you know, people to trust you. They've trained you. They've kind of got to trust you. Otherwise, they're doing a bad job. But for somebody else to take notice and be like, yeah, you know, I'm going to pay him money because I know he's going to come in, take up a spot where there's hundreds of other people that could take it.
Yeah.
Person's going to entertain my fans, and then they're going to come back to pay for another show because he's done a good job. That's got to be the mindset, and that's got to be massive for you, dude.
Again, so grateful in terms of, because I'd been smart with it, and I knew realistically any age below 16, like, I knew that I wouldn't be booked. So I kind of purposefully saved myself until my 16th birthday. And then I put a kind of post out saying, okay, I'm finally available for bookings. And I'm so grateful that I just skyrocketed from there. Like, I had my first weekend, I had like 2 like outside bookings off the go. And I was like, wow, that was just unreal to me.
That was awesome. Who were they for? Just give them a shout.
So one of them was United Wrestling. It's a very, very small one in Stoke. I know there's a kind of bigger one, a grander one, but there's kind of one in Stoke-on-Trent that's very small. And I only got a tenner for it, which looking back, I've not gone there again. Like, it's absolutely fine because your first wage, any money is good. And especially I knew that on that one, I was just going to frame it. Like, I knew that that was the plan. And, you know, and then in that same weekend, I worked for LWP, who are they're another kind of family show that are slightly touring. They're kind of near Chapel St Leonard's. They produce shows at like Fantasy Island theme park in Inglemells, and yeah, that one was pretty cool because that one was my first experience of someone pulling out last minute, and so it was Spike, my tag partner, that said, I'm not going to be fit to wrestle. Do you want my spot, Joey? And I was like, that'd be unreal. And then from there, just it was me versus Davey, and then on the Friday it was also me and Davey tagging for United. So my first weekend of bookings, being with the person that helped me kind of grow as a wrestler was unreal.
That's awesome. Then, so at least, yeah, you're kind of not going, you know, you're not going stag. You're not walking into this like new building all totally alone and being like,
yeah,
taking everybody's hands and be like.
And especially the Sunday show was in Mablethorpe, which is kind of a little seaside town that I used to go to a lot because one of my closest kind of family friends, Nan, owned a caravan, so we'd go in holidays there. And I remember watching MegaSlam at that Mablethorpe venue. There was six people in the crowd. There was like my family and another family, and that was it. And that's another thing that's crazy about these kind of family shows now, how big they've grown. Like MegaSlam is doing like 1,500 people in Barnsley, and like LWP took over. So the show that I wrestled at for LWP in Mablethorpe was the exact same venue, but had like 100 people. And it's crazy seeing it going from like 6 to 100, and just seeing. I think that's the thing with wrestling now, though. I feel like it's slowly starting to gain popularity again. I don't think we'll ever be as big as the World of Sport days, but it's going through another boom period, definitely.
Oh yeah, it's huge. But yeah, shout out to Mablethorpe. Yeah, I used to go there with my parents when I was a wee little kid.
Yeah.
I even worked there for 8 months. I worked at Golden Sands Haven in Mablethorpe.
No way.
Yeah. So I lived in a caravan for 8 months. So, you know, I could have been the third member of the travelling nation. I've lived in a caravan. Just up and down a little bit better. So, but yeah, Mablethorpe's awesome, dude. But yeah, just seeing stuff like that, like you said, it's just the evolution of it. But dude, yeah, just getting that booking, that 10 quid. Just, I love the fact you've got it framed, though, mate. Honestly, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was just such a special memory, and that's kind of what this backboard is here. Like a lot of my kind of special memories, not just in wrestling, but just in life, I kind of hold back there. There's Brady Phillips, Ivy, Adam Bolt, Jackie T. Who else is on there? ZZ. There's Sarah, who's been a ring announcer for a load of shows, kind of, and they've been another part kind of since getting that first booking. They've really took me under their wing, and they've kind of showed me so much kind of support and help, and really helped me get out there. And once again, they've been the people that have introduced me to places like True Grit, helping out before I finally, you know, got on the show and stuff like that. And I really just can't thank them enough. Like, a lot of people say that Ivy and Brady are like the wrestling parents. And I definitely get that sense. Like, although that me and Ivy, are kind of the Win tag team champions, and it's the cold mother and son gimmick. Like, I genuinely do feel that Ivy is my wrestling mum, and same with Brady. He's my wrestling dad.
It's not a bad dad to have, as long as, you know, he's a bit of a heel. But he knows what he's doing in the ring. So
he'd have my back as well. Nobody, he's got my back, and especially the size of him. No one's messing with that.
I mean, obviously, new True Grit champion, so the dude's doing something right. You know.
I mean, they're the power couple of pro wrestling, right?
Yeah, well, they are in True Grit, definitely, and a few other places. Within the next 12 months, I think those two are just going to go belt collecting, you know, like nobody's business. And
absolutely,
yeah, get Steph and you know, Trips. It's going to be Brady and Ivy all the way. The British power couple.
That's it.
You mentioned Adam Bolt. What's the deal there? Obviously, you trained with him. Has he kind of been looking out for you or picking his brain?
it kind of like, to put it in like the WrestleMania press conference, like bloodline family tree, kind of Adam Bolt and his security Jackie T are kind of like my wrestling brothers. Like they've had my back more than anyone. Like they've just been there when I've just needed help with other stuff, whether that is, you know, I've got a dilemma to do with a certain thing, or maybe it's kind of wording a message to a promotion, like how do I go about that? They've just helped me so much with that. And Adam, especially kind of having his ties with the BBC, which is phenomenal. Like I know that's just skyrocketing. It's got so many eyes on him, and kind of him representing the LGBTQ community within pro wrestling, being the WAW Pride champion. I know that kind of True Grit have kind of had a lot of Pride wrestlers recently join the roster, which is phenomenal. You know, it's Adam Bolt is the perfect older brother to kind of have, and Jackie T. I don't know whether you've ever seen them together, but their chemistry is just, it's unrivaled. I don't think there is a team with more chemistry than them two. And Jackie T's like the fun, goofy one in the family. He's the older brother, but he feels like the younger brother. Do you know what I mean?
Compensating, so he's being extra silly because he's the older one.
Yeah, that's it.
It's like me when I got my dude. I'm sat there playing PlayStation. I'm sat on the floor in front of the TV. My like missus is like, "What are you doing?" It's like, "You're too old. Get up." I'm like, "No, I'm sitting on the floor. I'm on PlayStation." Denial. I'm going to be
That's
silly.
amazing. And then Zizi's also part of that kind of family as well. Like, she obviously, her and Ivy are big rivals, but they've also teamed together. You know, they've had their ups and downs throughout their wrestling careers, which is an interesting one.
That is a family tree and a half, is that, dude? That's like, seriously. But again, you know, that just goes to show, mate, you wouldn't be, you know, associated with these, you wouldn't be, you know, mixing it up with these kind of people if you wasn't good at what you were doing, kind of thing. You know, I'm sure you're not there for sympathy. You know, they'd kind of be nice, but they'd be like, no, keep you at a distance. So yeah, obviously after 9 years, you know, dude, that still blows my mind. I'm like, you know, you're about to turn 18 in, well, a month and a bit, and yeah, you barely touched the water, mate. It's just crazy.
Thing, like, I wanted to come on this podcast because, like, I feel like when I turn 18, this is the next step. This is kind of me evolving a little bit. Like, I'll admit, I'll give you a little exclusive. In start of April, I'm thinking of changing my name completely, getting rid of Cement finally, because Johnny Concrete isn't around anymore. It's been a long few years since I've seen him, and obviously I've been from being the comedy sidekick to now an actual wrestler. So kind of the evolvement of that, kind of the next step. That's it. I've only had two names in wrestling. I've had Joey Cement, and then Joey Murphy was the MegaSlam one. But you'll find that a lot. I'll also mention that for those people that may be a little bit confused with the family show wrestling. You do find like the most random characters on them shows completely. You get like people that are like have got USA flags when they're not even American, you know, like people in masks.
This British wrestling, we've got so full of Mexicans that aren't even Mexicans. You know, it's kind of like, we're going to start putting a board. We're going to put a border up or something at some point. It's like, what the hell? We're getting flunked by Mexican wrestlers. And it's like, nah, they're not Mexican, really. It's okay.
That's it. And that's the cool thing about wrestling. I think there's so much variety. You can literally be whoever you want to be. And I think that's also what's been really important, kind of learning the past few months, kind of speaking to people like Joe Blazer, who obviously had Big Guns Joe at the time. Kind of they evolved from that to this, what they are now, and kind of getting advice off people like that as well, kind of with this next step in my career has been really helpful as well, because it is a big change. It doesn't feel like a big change, but it weirdly is.
Oh yeah, that's it, because yeah, as soon as you turn 18, you know, it's kind of like, you know, the gloves can kind of come off. You can kind of,
yeah.
It must be exciting as well, though, because you can kind of totally reinvent yourself. You can evolve. You know, you're like a Pokemon, dude. You go from this stage to like, you know, you become like this absolute force of nature. And like I said, it shouldn't make a difference because 17 to 18. Yeah, dude, as soon as you turn 18, that's the next massive step. Not to put, not to over pressurize it or anything. That's like, yeah, so you just, I'm guessing as well, people are just going to be full of advice, and you've literally got to sit there and kind of be like, right, okay, I like the sound of that.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, use that. And you kind of just going to have to mesh it together.
Certainly. And I think this is the other thing, like you said, kind of with turning 18, is throughout my life, I've kind of felt like there's always been something kind of blocking me from the next step, whether that was my age, from kind of going from beginners to being on shows, whether that, like, I'm quite a small person. I think I'm only like 5'7", 5'8", kind of, whether that's been my height, I've been too small for certain things, and kind of even shows like 18 plus shows. I can't even go to like a Kumite or a Rise, I can't even be a paid customer for them shows, but it's crazy.
The height thing, mate, I wouldn't let that be an issue. I think,
No, not at all.
I'm 5'8" or Taz, I think, was 5'8" or 5'7" or something. So just, I don't know, that's an option. Turn yourself into a human suplex machine and wear a towel or something. If ever saw Taz back in the day, not just being AEW commentator.
Yeah. Oh, Taz was phenomenal back in the day. Phenomenal.
Yes. The Tasmanian Devil, as he originally was. Yeah. So, oh mate, I'm actually just talking to you then about this next step, what you could do. I mean, obviously you've got to have so many things. Like, you described obviously your style, as like, I refuse to call him Butch. So like that Pete Dunne, joint manipulation. Obviously you kind of just got to dive further into that, or do you think you can kind of mix it up? And
I'm hoping so. Kind of the good thing about being in a team like Hellbound is you've got the kind of brawling deathmatch wrestler Alton Thorne, who is very good at both the brawling and deathmatch style. So if there's anyone that can help me with the kind of brawling element, it's him. But I also don't want to lose who I've evolved as in terms of my character a little bit. So it's finding that mix of being a brawler, still being the little arrogant, cocky kid that I am, but now just mixing them together and seeing what I can create with that, because I think that's the issue. I've kind of seen brawlers in the past that have kind of almost their words have been displayed through fighting, whereas I've always been quite good with my words as well, with promos and stuff. So I definitely don't want to lose that element, and it's just finding out.
You could be one of those cocky guys that you're good on the mic, you're good on the things, but it's so freaking annoying because you can back it up in the ring.
Oh, thank you. I'd like to hope so. So.
But that's one of the things, because you get these kind of like guys. I'm not gonna, say, saying they kind of need the muscle to help them do the job, kind of thing. They're writing the checks and letting somebody else, deal with it. You can write the checks, but you can cash them as well.
Absolutely, and hopefully this year, kind of without discussing too many plans, I've got a lot of exciting matches, not only with people my age. I will say this, like May the 19th, Future Wrestling. I've got someone that very recently has kind of, I'll give you the biggest hint, that him and his brother have recently debuted at SovPro as a tag team. I've got a huge match against him, kind of proving young versus young. He's only actually three days older than me, so very similar. And then I've got a match with my wrestling dad potentially later on in the year as well. So some very exciting matches coming up, and hopefully, like you said, I'll be able to prove it in the ring that I deserve to hang. So
that's the little test for you. If you're paying attention about 10 minutes ago, you'll know who his wrestling dad is, and you can get psyched. Because that dude, that'll be awesome. Yeah, I look forward.
I'm looking dead forward to that.
Right. Just clock the time. We have gone over the hour mark. I won't keep you for much longer, buddy. But obviously we kind of touched on it earlier, just to get your views. I think you're obviously going to be very pro, but yeah, the whole social media thing. And I'd say that they don't teach it in schools, but it is so pivotal. It's I think people get themselves over now. I don't know, maybe it should be, maybe you could start running a class at Hop, how to conduct yourself. because it's something I think it's going to become part of wrestling. You know, you've got this platform that gives you free interaction with fans. It allows you to cut promos. It allows you to put promos out there. You can chat shit with other wrestlers, and you know promotions are out there watching and be like, these two are interacting really well with each other. You know what?
That's how me and Owen Thorne got a rivalry. We bickered on Twitter so much to the point that finally someone went, fine, we'll give you a match. And now we've transformed it to the point where the story has kind of gone into us being in a team together. So anything is possible with social media.
So yes, that is a big tick from Joey Cement in the pro social media side of things for wrestling. Dude. Well, that basically segues me straight into the sort of the wrapping up. Where can people find your good stuff on the socials?
You can find me on Instagram at Joey Wrestler _. You can find me on X at Joey Wrestler, capital J, capital W. We've got Joey Cement Wrestler on Facebook. We've got Joey Wrestler on YouTube as well if you want to find some of my matches to watch.
Yes, that's where I meant to go. That's where I saw like the LJ Heron and all that stuff. Dude, there's very few people in this business as ripped or with less body fat than Mr. LJ Heron. You know, that dude, man's chiseled, just chiseled. So yes, obviously, dude. If on social medias, I'm going to tag Joey in everything kind of thing as well. So if you're not following, please click on his socials within my tweets or my Facebook posts or the Instagram posts. Give Joey a follow, show support. If he's on a show near you, you know, go buy tickets. Show your love, show your support. And obviously, yeah, generic stuff. Hit like, hit subscribe, share, comment.
Click the notification bell. Get the notification bell clicked on.
That's the badger. That's it. Click that, and then you'll always know when a new episode drops. I wanted to do a massive shout out as well, just quickly. Obviously, this, well, not this episode, but every episode is sponsored by Fast Count Clothing, who have in the last week just revealed a Charles Crowley t-shirt and a Sue Young t-shirt today. TNA's very own Sue Young. Fast Count teamed up with both of those and released 2 amazing t-shirt designs, and the link will be in the episode description, so please go check it out. Dude, the time's actually flown by. Right, so this was your first ever wrestling podcast. Hopefully it wasn't too painful, and you know, you enjoyed it.
Thank you for having me. I've absolutely loved it. Thank you so much.
It's been an absolute pleasure. I just love talking to people who are just still so excited about wrestling and just, you know, love it, and you can tell the passion's, you know, genuine. So you start talking like that, it starts making me talk like that, and it's just big smiles all around. So mate, thank you very much. Right, everybody watching, I've said all the stuff, so why are you still here? Go, and we'll see you again very soon. Goodbye.